I think it was a great conversation, Midget Radio.
I think so too. I think so too. I'm not quite sure how much of it I actually captured on this software program, but
oh no. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire Official Podcast. This is episode number 96. On this show, we like to talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, video games, political discourse, sometimes, but always Star Trek. I'm your host, Tactic Angel, and with me is Midget Radio, my murderous socialist friend.
hello.
Hello, Midget Radio. How are you today?
I am doing all right, Tactic Angel. How are you?
I am also in the pretty okay territory.
Nice.
And I can hear my dog sneaking up on me.
Aww.
And he's wearing his collar, and it's gonna jingle in the background. The whole episode, I'm gonna be so angry, and then I'm gonna have to kill him, and then I'm gonna be sad.
I mean, I think it's all right. I think it's kind of a pleasant sort of atmospheric, sound. It sounds wholesome.
It's proof of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you believe I've kept an animal alive this long?
I cannot. I mean, without eating it, yeah, I cannot believe that you've gone that long.
I keep him around specifically in case I need to eat him. In any case,
Makes sense.
If I do have to put him down tonight manually, maybe a drink will help me do that with less remorse.
True. Slightly worse aim.
I have a still house.
Ooh.
Glass of whiskey I do enjoy out of the paint thinner can.
Nice.
Do you have anything tonight?
I do. I have something that I think is now potentially doubly thematically appropriate. I have the Bird Dog, a salted caramel flavored whiskey that I am sure is gonna taste like ass. But
Why is it? Well, okay, so the one is the dog.
yeah,
Why is it doubly?
well, because you were talking about your dog, and then there's another dog in what we're gonna talk about later. So that's like two dogs, man. That's times two.
That's true. I guess you already know what the subject of tonight's
Indeed, I do.
discussion is, and there's a thumbnail. Nobody doesn't know what this is. Anyway, we're going to be talking about Fallout. Fallout is a TV series based on a popular video game franchise by the same name, created by Interplay. It is being developed and released by Amazon MGM Studios, exclusively for release on Amazon, the home of several rescued series like The Expanse, originals like The Boys, and The Rings of Power, a show that was so well received by viewers that apparently reviews for all shows for all time need to be disabled. Amazon teams up with new owners of Fallout, Bethesda Game Studios, whose recent hits include Fallout 76, an RPG featuring 0 NPCs at launch, and the cynically acclaimed Starfield, a space exploration RPG which stands out most from its peers by featuring almost no exploration and as little space as physically possible, with RPG elements. In any case, the shows feature Walton Goggins and has Kyle MacLachlan in it, along with a whole heap of what I assume are competent, but more importantly, affordable actors. Midget Radio.
Yes.
The audience is hanging in anticipation. Have these two combined to make something great, or has their combined incompetence combined to make an even brighter dumpster fire than an atomic bomb?
That's a lot of combinations. I will say I enjoyed this show a lot more than I expected to. I was like, okay on it, with the first episode, and then as it went on, I gradually got more into it, surprisingly enough. How about you?
I was mostly okay with it. Mostly okay. I'm not saying that repetitively for no reason. I am mostly okay with it. 51% of me was at least 51% okay with what was going on.
Nice.
I thought it was interesting enough. I really, really liked everything with Walton Goggins, except for probably one scene. And I thought that they did particularly a good job with the hook for this, because you see Kyle MacLachlan, you're like, why the hell is he in this?
Yeah.
and then instantly you're like, well, I want to see more of that. So naturally, you kind of have to get hooked into the plot without going into too much of the details up front.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of that had to do with I just liked the sound of it.
Yeah.
This has a lot of auditory callbacks. You do have I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire. You have several other pieces of work by the Ink Spots, who are great. Nat King Cole, Johnny Cash. You got several other pieces of music from the olden times, and due to kind of, I guess, the Pareto effect, we weren't treated to any of the not great stuff. We got pretty good music across the board.
Yeah.
Do you think that was hiding anything?
The music?
The music, the performance. Like, literally, they could have released a video or a TV series that was called Walton Goggins Choose the Scenery. And, right?
Yeah.
And he could have walked up to all of the fake sets and started gnawing on bits of the plywood and been like, oh, well, there's not a lot of sodium in this cardboard. And you're like,
yeah,
tell me more.
Right.
I'd have watched that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Walton Goggins can do basically anything. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I liked, not initially, but throughout the series, the protagonist, if you will, Lucy, grew on me quite a bit as a character, and I even came around on oh God, what is it? Was it Marcus or was it Maximus?
It's Maximus.
Maximus.
He's a very memorable character.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was probably the last one that I came around on, but yeah, I don't know. There was enough in this that at times I felt like it was appropriately clever. I feel like the hardest thing, I think the thing I struggled with on this show the most is that it's pretty good satire. I mean, this is true of the games as well. Like, it's pretty effective satire, and it's fun in that sense. But I think occasionally, and particularly at the end of this series, the satirical elements kind of get in the way, and ruin a little bit of the plot and some of the character relationships. That was the main thing I ran into.
Okay. I think the first thing I noticed was that, particularly after the first episode, I was like, I'm not sure the tone of the video games can really translate into, like, the tone of a TV series.
Right.
And we can get more into that in just a bit. But, like, there are some things that you do not do on television shows. And similar to that, I'll just say that Fallout games usually don't portray children in the vault for what... I mean, when we're running down fatties in GTA...
Yeah, for very, very player-oriented reasons, there are no children.
There are clearly not like, oh, there's a 4-year-old that I just ran over with my SUV.
Yep.
Like, people don't like that. For good reason.
Yeah.
And like, that was not the immediate presentation of this show. And I think you're right. But it was very apparent to me at the beginning that it's like, there's some shaky territory here, just trying to take a video game such that they even cared about the video game at all.
Yeah.
And then transferring it onto screen.
Yeah.
So
Which, I mean, aesthetically at least, I feel like they did a really good job of. I mean, it looked like a vault.
Minus the power armor.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It reminded me enough of Fallout 4 power armor, especially the way you get into it.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, it looked like power armor, but it looks best in stills.
Well, yeah.
You're like, wow, that doesn't look real at all.
It's ridiculous suit, but yeah.
Since when can they fly?
Yeah. That'd be nice. Fuck, dude. Yeah, that'd have been nice in the game.
Oh, can you imagine how fast that would drain the cores?
Right, I know. Everybody's just walking. Those batteries are fucking infinite, man. That was super unfair.
I felt cheated.
Yeah. But I mean, right down to I don't think this is like really spoiler territory or anything, but like the stim packs, I mean, they look like stim packs and they do what stim packs do. They fucking cure you of everything. So
they're magic.
Like, it's ridiculous. I really like that they kept that element in the series. Like, hey, shut up, just jam a stim pack in the bullet hole. You'll be fine.
Kind of, because like sometimes it works and sometimes it
right when it's
doesn't.
Convenient for the plot. Sure, yeah.
Like video game logic there definitely doesn't translate onto the screen.
Yes, yeah, very true. But yeah, I mean, aesthetically, I think they really captured most of it. And I mean, particularly, you know, the juxtaposition of the 40s and 50s kind of jazz and sort of like ragtime music, with just hyper fucking ultra violence. Worked really, like, it works as well in the series as it does in the game, I think.
I mean, I can't disagree with that. It's a little bit different when it's not, you know, a polygon exploding and it's maybe somebody's head.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I think overall setting the sets looked pretty good. They were mostly shot pretty tight, I think, because there wasn't a lot of them.
Yeah, true.
And, you know, costuming, it worked.
Yeah.
It was more or less believable both to the video game and to the extent that the video game could be transferred into reality, probably reality 2.
Yeah.
And you were other than Walton Goggins, I think you said that you kind of all their performances more or less grew on you.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. And again, I don't know if that's I don't know if that's some of the satirical elements at play, you know, because for that to work, a lot of times the characters need to be somewhat two-dimensional, which I think you could argue that Lucy is a little bit in the series. But I don't know. I mean, she was charming enough that she definitely grew on me. But I mean, you know, Walton Goggins and I love Kyle MacLachlan. I mean, those are the two standouts for me.
Yeah, I mean, those are who you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna save a comment here for later, which I'm sure to get to. I think Lucy's brother, I think his name is Norm.
Yeah, Norm. Yeah, I think that's right.
I actually really liked the Vault Dwellers for the most part.
Yeah.
So, you know, I thought it was pretty good. I never really cared much for Maximus.
Yeah. I get that.
I found him to be inconsistent, but I don't think it was his fault. I think that was a directing issue, and that his character is wildly irregular.
That sounds, that sounds pretty fair to me. I would not push back against that one too much.
well, he certainly has his way with that toilet seat, and then after that, he
True.
doesn't really show a spine for
is
most
true.
of the rest of the
Yeah.
rest of the film.
Yeah.
I don't know what else do we normally talk about before we start like handing out stars like it's 2015 on Netflix.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. I feel like we covered most of the introductory stuff pretty well.
I feel like we can give ourselves lots of gold stars for this.
I think so,
like,
too.
Whatever the show gets, we both get 5 stars.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right, so Midget Radio, old school Netflix, 5-star rating. What are we thinking?
I am going to go ahead. This is particularly generous, but I'm going to give it 4 stars. I'm giving it 4 stars. I don't care. Sticking to it.
I mean, for the most part, like, you follow it. It's reasonably entertaining.
Yeah.
You don't think about it too much.
Yes.
It's not bad. I love Walton Goggins. Lucy's performance, I can't. Maybe I'll remember the actress's name by the end of this. I think she did a pretty good job. You got some other people in there as well who I also like, and I was happy to see them. So, like, I get it. Towards the end, it got a little bit dumb.
Yes, it did. Yes, it
And
did.
by a little bit dumb,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm going to give this 2 stars.
Fair enough.
I think this is the only series that I've watched, and I was audibly saying over and over again, this is so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
By the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That last episode really, really gives Star Trek Picard a run for its money.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of does.
Really. We'll get into it.
Yes.
We'll get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, so episode 1 is called The End. Isn't that cute?
Yep.
So the show in alternate scenes introduces us to Cooper, Howard, Lucy McLean, and Maximus. Cooper is an actor in the past who watches some nukes go off, and if the prolific amount of don't stare at the sun warnings that we've recently been given by the government are any indication, I don't think staring into a nuclear explosion is a good idea, kids. Lucy is a vault dweller who is promised to wed another vault dweller from an adjoining vault, and that doesn't quite go as planned. Meanwhile, Maximus is an aspiring squire with the Brotherhood of Steel, and apparently not very well liked, but given the opportunity to become a squire due to some fortunate circumstances. That's my synopsis.
Nice.
Isn't that
Good
well
job. No,
written?
I loved it. Yeah. Concise and thorough, I think.
It covers most of the big points.
It does.
And specific to my concern about the tone of this off the bat was we see a lot of children, and we see specifically a pregnant woman who gets stabbed in the eye with a fork in the first episode. And I was like, ooh, this is going into some pretty uncomfortable territory.
It hits you pretty hard with the graphic violence there right away. I mean, I don't know. I was taking it for what it was, which was, I think, just pure shock and entertainment value, not dissimilar to Fallout, not dissimilar to what they do in the games. I did think, like, there were elements introduced in this episode that I thought were pretty cool, like the arranged marriages between, 2 different vaults, people from 2 different vaults, because everybody in your vault is your fucking cousin, basically. Like, that was interesting. I mean, thought all that was pretty cool.
I let the more than one incest joke fly by without being too judgy about it. But no, I think in particular, sort of the setup that they give you here with the 3 vaults that are they don't really explain it, I don't think, in the first episode.
Not really, yeah.
Because I was thinking, you're going to have other people from another vault walk here? That seems like a terrible
Yeah, and I kept
idea.
wondering, like, how does it work? Like, is there... So you've got, like, maybe one vault door that connects only to the other two vault doors, and then another vault door that actually connects to, like, the outside world? Or... Right? Because that just seems really insecure to if you... Yeah, I don't know.
Well, in particular, if you have, like, a system of government, which seems to be like you elect your own dictator.
Yeah.
And somebody in one of the other two vaults gets some crazy ideas about what they want to do on the outside world, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, they start talking about, like, radiation levels are reaching the point that in a generation we'll be able to repopulate the Earth.
Yeah.
Reconquista. Here we go. And, like, maybe somebody else's radiation levels are just a bit off, or maybe somebody's a little bit less conservative on the radiation safety levels and decides, yeah, we're going to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, eventually they sort of flesh this out.
Yes, they do, more or less, yeah.
You kind of get the idea that it's built like one of those, like one of those shared living areas that you would see in college, where it's like everybody has their own room, but there's a common like living room and a couple bathrooms. So, like, that's the effect I got.
That's what I was thinking
didn't really
too.
Go into it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. But yeah, I mean, I liked that element, and I think it appeals to that, like, you've got a small group of people who has some kind of system of government, right? I always find that kind of interesting. I don't think anybody's ever done it as well as, like, Battlestar Galactica, where they're debating, like, this bitch is a teacher, why should she be the president now? And it's like, well, it's just a continuation. Now we're going to declare martial law. Like, I find all of that stuff really fascinating. So it's interesting. I wouldn't say this show gave a lot of thought to it, but the fact that they at least gave a little bit of thought as far as, like, the arranged marriages and how that's kind of carried out and stuff like that. That stuff is, I think, really cool.
Well, this particular arrangement is one that we've never seen in the video game.
True. Yeah. This is new. Yeah.
Which was kind of like, in terms of Lucy's plot in the first episode, the only thing that was really interesting and unique to this, because you know what's going to happen.
Yes.
It happens,
of course,
every time.
It does. Yes. Yeah. But so, I do like that, because you do get, like, it's an arranged marriage. It's apparently not a big deal. It seems like it would be something that's terrifying, but obviously, Lucy's grown up in a culture that's acclimated to this. All of that's kind of cool on its own.
And it's her patriotic duty.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It is. So they're going to rebuild America. Yeah.
So, I mean, I liked that. I liked the sense of purpose. I think this sort of arrangement can only kind of exist in a sort of linked vault situation that you had here.
Yes. Yeah.
And you never have seen that in a video game before. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then later, to kind of what you're alluding to, you do see them electing a new overseer.
Yeah.
But it does seem kind of like the overseer is a dictator.
It does kind of seem like that. That power dynamic is kind of interesting because it seems familial almost, but also, like, kind of cultish a little bit. Like, there's an expected, set of behaviors that everyone's supposed to exhibit and conform to. And the overseer, I think, kind of sort of, preys on that. Like, it's not really a government meeting. It's like a family fucking meeting, This is just a family meeting that we're having to determine what to do with this particular problem. So it's less like overtly, iron fist dictatorship, but it's kind of, it is still essentially a dictatorship. And kind of more scary because it's wrapped up in family.
Well, I mean, not really, because if you think back several hundred or thousand years, like all all societies lived like this, right? You'd have clans, you'd have
You'd have little villages. Yeah.
small villages,
Yeah.
and the villages might be made up of, you know, a few dozen families, but kind of everybody knew everybody. This is in an
Yeah.
age before you had things like police, in an age before you had things like federal regulation,
Yeah.
and to a certain degree, it makes an amount of sense that if humanity was in that situation, that they would kind of naturally revert to something like that.
Yeah.
Because, like,
It does.
I mean, it's easy enough for my governor to screw me because he doesn't know me.
Yeah. You don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But if there's like 100 people in the state
Right.
of Illinois,
Yeah.
that fat fuck would have a much
Right.
harder time.
You're
spitting
there.
in my face.
You're there at every meeting, along with the other 99 fucking people. Yeah.
I am very upset
Yeah.
with the quality of the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's I kind of liked that. One of the things I really wanted to see after the first episode were children, because I have to believe that they killed all of the children,
Yeah.
and that doesn't feel good to me.
No. Yeah, they really don't have any in this show, which I feel like is a little bit of a blessing, but
But they were at the very beginning.
they were there at the beginning.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
So her story is interesting.
Yeah.
Her father ends up getting kidnapped.
Yes.
He sacrifices himself for her, kind of, I guess.
Yeah. More like, yeah.
The other two plots, like I liked Walton Goggins' plot just
Yeah.
because it was Walton Goggins. This is cool.
Yeah.
Cooper Howard in the twilight of his career.
Yeah.
And then slowly they kind of build back up to that throughout the series.
Yeah, I like that stuff, and it leans into the that unique Fallout aesthetic, where you have like certain aspects of technology that were just arrested, you know, in the 40s and 50s. Like, he's still making fucking westerns on, you know, film that get broadcast on cathode ray televisions, you know. But then at the same time, they have robot assistants flying around that can heal them and do it. Like, it's ridiculous, but I love all of that stuff.
It's a very Jetsons future.
It is, yeah, it really is, yeah, and it totally works in this show. And I feel like he's a big, like, he's what reminds you of that. His storyline really leans into that, being a movie star of classic westerns.
I was really interested to find out, like, I mean, you do find out a little bit about him, but you never really find out where he's from.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Because there was a part of me that would find it really interesting if his character was, like, from, you know, New York or something.
Right, yeah.
Like, the furthest place that you would expect.
I don't think Walton Goggins,
one of those strong, independent male characters to come from. And then,
yeah,
like, he just plays the cowboy, and when the bomb goes off, he just continues to play the cowboy.
Yeah. I'm not sure Walton Goggins is allowed to play a character north of Texas. I would think. Like, I think he's relegated to the southern half of the U.S., no matter what.
But, I mean, anybody can put on a southern
I
accent.
know. He just does it the best.
Go out there.
But yeah.
He does. Well, I think he's from Georgia or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
I
not.
actually have no idea. But
Oh, do you want to do some impromptu research? We are professionals.
no, I'm confident that you're right, Tacky. He's from Georgia. I'll fight anybody who says different. So
Cool. Okay. Yeah, your invitation to my cult is in the mail.
great.
And then I guess Maximus, he beats the shit out of a toilet, and then his friend doesn't become
Right.
Squire because she had a razor blade in her boot or something.
Razor blade boots, yeah.
Okay.
I like that the Brotherhood of Steel felt semi-religious to me.
It felt like they were leaning into 40K, to be honest.
I can see that. Yeah, I could totally see that. Which I don't know, I'm good with. I like it. It's a different faction. I don't know. I like that I don't know. I like the semi-religious purpose behind the Brotherhood. I'm into it. Because why the fuck not?
I mean, the only problem I have with the Brotherhood being religious is that later it pretty quickly makes them feel dumb. And not that religious conviction is dumb, but if you have a writer with an agenda, they can easily try to convey that. And I do think that they kind of lean into that.
How do you think well, I guess, yeah. Do you want to go into that now, or do you want to go through the rest of the episodes, or?
We'll go into episode 2 because
Okay.
that's where it quickly becomes dumb.
Okay.
Okay, so we're introduced to Michael Emerson's character, whoever he is. He's a scientist. That's the name of the actor, by the way.
Right. Thank you.
He's a scientist who likes dogs. He injects something into his head
Yes.
and escapes the Enclave. Maximus's knight gets wounded by Yao Gui.
Oh, right.
And Maximus watches him bleed out, then takes his armor. As luck would have it, Michael Emerson meets up with Lucy, and less fortunately, the ghoul Cooper, but more fortunately, Maximus, freshly off the not exactly do-gooding. He is happy to do good here, kind of allowing Lucy to escape, only to have to saw off Emerson's head. So that was kind of a bummer for those of us who really liked watching Person of Interest.
Oh, too bad. I never did see that show, so I guess I didn't.
Oh, it was
experience.
good. It had Jim Caviezel in it. He was it was fun.
He's a good time. He's a good guy. He's a good actor.
Michael Emerson basically plays the same person. I think he plays a nerd with round glasses in
Nice.
everything he does.
Hey, he did a solid job here too. So
He was definitely a nerd with round glasses. So to the extent that you were just asking me about how, like, this makes people dumb, like, they
Sure.
immediately portray, okay, so they're flying around in the choppa,
yeah,
and he's like, let me out here, I'm bored.
yeah,
And coincidentally, they pick up the trail of the one person in all of the desolate United States
right.
that they're looking for, which is a plot convenience. It's not specifically about what we're talking about.
It is. I mean, theoretically, you could argue they were on their way to do exactly that thing. So you know,
It is a non-zero possibility.
sure, yeah. But I get what you're saying. Yeah,
It's just a convenience.
It is.
But what they find is a cave. And in the cave is this mutated bear, which is a Yao Gui, I think, in the
sure.
video games.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And they get, you've been playing the game. I can see every time you get on Steam.
Oh my God! Stop lying. Fucking stalker.
Anyway, I don't know why I didn't enable it. Anyway, the point is, he gets into this fight with a bear, I guess, and he's mortally wounded.
Yes.
And he takes his helmet off and he just starts saying, "You need to give me a stim pack. You need to give me a stim pack.
Right. Cure all.
You dumb son of a bitch. You're so bad at your job. They're going to kill you. I'm going to make sure they're going to kill you. Give me the stim pack
Yeah.
so I can make sure that they kill you." And you're just like, this is dumb. This is really, like... If that was what was going through your head and you had an IQ above 60,
Right.
let's say, you would just not say that. Right?
Yes.
You're like,
yeah.
this is prohibiting me from getting Stimpak.
Right.
Me want Stimpak.
Yeah. So,
Maybe later talk about death.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
okay, that's fair. That's fair. I would only push back in the sense that, like, the knight is clearly, like, he's an asshole, like, from the go. Like, he's clearly a douchebag and an asshole right away. And so there's a certain, I guess it doesn't seem unfair or stupid or, like, unexpected to me that people who have attained knighthood and get to walk around in power armor suits that never run out of power all day long.
That is a plus.
Right. That they would be a little bit drunk on power, and that over time that would sort of dovetail into a lack of self-awareness, to where you wouldn't think twice about berating a person who you depend on for your life in that particular moment, I guess. That's the only thing that I would push back on. But if this is an example of kind of how the Brotherhood is sort of stupid, I get it. I mean I can kind of see that. I don't think it's totally unfair, but yeah, you're right on that point.
Well, I mean it's kind of like how, okay, like even in chimpanzee culture, right? The brutal chimp doesn't get to be top chimp for long, because eventually he's going to piss off everybody else, and they're just going to rip him apart,
right,
and eat him while he's screaming alive. Yeah, because chimps are terrible. Yes. But like I mean I acknowledge what you're saying, and maybe in a human situation it makes a little bit more sense, but I mean, you're in the Wild West. If you die 100 miles from the next person in the Brotherhood of Steel, who's to know what happened, right? Yeah. Like, assuming any level of investigation or burden of proof, it would be really hard to prove that your squire, through incompetence specifically, was responsible for your death.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder, like, how much power did the knights really have? Like, is it their word? You know, is it their word? Their word is just sacrosanct. I don't know. Against that of a squire, I don't know. But yeah, I see what you're saying. But yeah, I didn't look at it so much as an indictment on the Brotherhood of Steel. I considered it more just that guy's a fucking idiot. That's all.
Well, in the next episode, he's going to end up with a squire of his own.
Yes.
And the guy is immediately obscenely subservient to him.
Yes, he is. Yes. Which, so I kind of like, I sort of like, yeah, I see where you're going. So I like that the knights inspire something that, like, the squires and the even just other people look up to. Like, you're like the knight, like they're supposed to be the fucking knights of old, like a medieval knight. Like, you're supposed to be that hero, that self-sacrificing, person who just rises above all self-centeredness and selfishness and stuff like that, who really stands apart. And clearly the knight Titus that we get in this is not that fucking guy. And that is, is that kind of what you're reacting to? Because that is frustrating. You would like to see a Brotherhood of Steel knight who does, in fact, exemplify those qualities. Who is a fucking, Lancelot or something like that.
So, like, I would like to see, like, I think this is by the time you start to get sort of flashbacks to Maximus's early backstory. Right. It might have actually been in the first episode. Right. And, he crawls out of a refrigerator after the Russians have nuked Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones style, yeah.
Yeah. And he sees a knight. And, like, yeah, to the degree that the knights are really what what they say they are. Maybe they're not, because I mean, knights and samurais in reality weren't like super great people all the time.
Not all of them. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But like, you can imagine a legend being built around them, and then you can kind of see where particularly somebody who is saved by them, and particularly in sort of the child context, looking up to a person who is superhuman standing in front of him,
yes,
as he realizes his salvation. Like, that is the kind of thing that you would kind of like.
Yeah.
And like, I've always liked the Brotherhood of Steel, but in like Fallout 3 and 4, they're always douches.
They are
and
assholes all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of like, I want to like them because I want them to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, to some degree you're right, but
well, and to your point, like about Maximus's, backstory too. I mean, even Lucy exemplifies that attitude as well. Like when she sees the knight, he's a fucking knight, really? I mean, you still, like, you get, there's still that prevailing attitude that the knights are greater than,
Does that make any sense?
I guess only it makes sense to me if Lucy grew up on stories about knights, right? Like if those stories are still circulating in the vault, and then you go outside the vault and you're like, oh, this is like a new kind of knight. This is the current sort of kind. They're calling themselves knights. Why wouldn't they be like the knights that I read about, in the vault? I get it from that perspective, because everybody knows what a knight is. It's fucking fairy tale.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of.
Yeah, Lancelot and all the good.
Yeah,
I get it. I think she says it first, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Lucy's kind of nutty in the first 2 episodes.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Maybe she just sees.
Yeah.
She sees him and is like, "Oh my gosh, it's a person wearing armor. Must be a knight. Where's your horse?" So like we have the one episode with Michael Emerson. His character does have a different name. He gets a robot foot, which is unique.
I really loved that scene, I gotta say, because it was so stupid and so fucking Fallout video game. Like,
just hit him with the stim pack, right?
All right, hit him with the stim pack. Jam this fucking robot boot onto him. It was just, it's so, like, that's the, like, it seems like that, where I was like, this show seems to understand the video game. It's so absurd. It's so it's violent and grotesque and ridiculous all at the same time. That I don't know. I appreciated how stupid that scene was, but
I mean, I kind of did, but like as he was walking through the other location that is clearly hundreds of miles away from where they had the gunfight, I was thinking, boy, it's going to be really inconvenient for them to have to CG this for the rest of the the series. And then he says, "I took cyanide, and now I have to die."
Yep, I'm trying to save this production a little money, and yeah.
I mean, Amazon's not made of money,
right? Come on, no. That's a mom and pop store, if there ever was one. Just
so yeah, she has to saw off Emerson's head, which brings us to episode 3, The Head. What a great title.
Yeah.
Lucy escapes with the head, but it's eaten by a gulper.
Yes.
And a relatively unsympathetic Cooper tries to use Lucy as bait and has to give up when he loses all of his medicine. Maximus helps by defeating the gulper with the help of his new squire, and they get the head. This is also where we start to get some flashbacks to Cooper's waning Hollywood career and knowledge that his wife is involved in Vault-Tec.
Yeah. Yeah.
I barely remember this episode.
I mean, yeah, same here. I it was like, it was fun. I think a lot of this is, I guess thematically, you know, a lot of this is Lucy coming to terms with how fucking shitty it is on the surface. So, but yeah, I mean, aside from that, it's just kind of fun and stupid. I don't know. Like, I was a little like, I really wanted Walton Goggins to be not such a fucking asshole the entire time. 'Cause I love him.
Well, he's been buried underground for what I assume is quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense with the stuff that happens in this episode.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to square that, honestly, with the rest of the series, but yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's called writing convenience.
Yep. I'll just accept it for what it is. That's where he's introduced into the plot. Fine. But yeah, I don't really have anything to say about this episode either.
So, like, the one thing that this episode kind of embodies, which is fair to the game, and they do make overt reference, and I wasn't sure how to feel about it when they said it, is, and I don't know if it's in this episode, it might have been in the last, and it could be in the next one, I don't remember. But Walton Goggins says that when you're in the wasteland, you get sidetracked by every damn thing.
My God, yes. I think that was this episode. That was a super fucking meta joke. So this is the conflict, right? This is the issue that I feel like I was running into with the show. 'Cause that was funny and it was accurate. It was funny and accurate all at the same time, but it's like, God damn it, don't pull me out of the show. Like, I want to consider these characters to be, you know, real people. I want to be invested in them. Stop reminding me that, like, this is a video game. But that was really clever. So this is part of the satire kind of rearing its head, and pulling you out of the fucking show for a minute, which gets annoying, I think. But God damn it, yeah, that was a good joke, and it was well timed. So yeah, it's just part of the.
I totally agree, because when I hear it, I relate to it.
Yeah, but exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And then the relationship is completely separate from what I'm watching.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, no, that's a good observation, and I agree. So after that, Lucy is taken as a captive to somewhere that appears to offer some sort of medical services. They then ship her off to carve her up for her organs.
Of course.
Coop ends up getting in a gunfight with several raiders who are running the place. Lucy escapes from being harvested, releases a bunch of ghouls, including a feral ghoul, which she is forced to kill.
Yeah.
And she feels slightly bad about that for maybe 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Lucy wins her freedom and then leaves Coop with the vials that he needs. I don't know if I left anything out of this. This is the only thing I took out of this episode. I thought it was, other than the fact that they're fixing her up, just like they glue a finger onto her.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
And then they're like, now it's time to carve you up. You're like, what?
So so much of this is like Lucy's character arc. So it was ridiculous that they decide to repair the finger and then actually, you know, carve her up for her organs. But it's like, it's exactly absurd enough. Like, this is the satire part of the show. It's exactly absurd enough that it's a fucking robot doing this. That it's like artificial intelligence that would make this decision. It's like, well, I need to make sure that the patient is whole, so let me reattach the fucking finger here, and then I can proceed to harvest its organs until it dies. Essentially, I mean, like, it's a stupid. I don't know. It's a perfect encapsulation of how stupid an AI kind of approach can be to that particular situation. So I appreciate it for that. And then I like Lucy's kind of just constant like sort of idealism and naivete running up against like, well, these are ferocious fucking zombies, you know. I mean, I know they look human to you, and this girl can kind of say her name or something, but like they want to eat your flesh. So
what was it? Her name was Martha or something.
Yeah,
like that?
something like that. Yeah. So I mean, I do like it. I do like it for those aspects.
I can kind of see your point. Because like, yeah, I mean, you could picture not even artificial intelligence, but just a brute force algorithm, which is like,
yeah, I got to check this box before I can fucking check this other box, which is
like
the harvesting of the organs.
If human is okay,
harvest organs.
Harvest organs.
Yeah. Else repair human, then harvest organs.
Human.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you just keep running that.
Yep. For hundreds of years.
Until you harvest the organs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose there's probably like, if human dead, then something else.
Sure,
but anyway, we didn't get to that. This episode is curious because it ends with a Star Trek moment.
Ooh, okay.
Right?
Refresh
You help
me.
your enemy.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, yeah.
Lucy wins her freedom.
Yeah.
And as she's walking away, she drops a whole heap of the medicine that he needs.
All the drugs. Yeah.
Next to him.
How did you feel like, this is a theme that occurs throughout the season. Lucy kind of, I need to do what's right, you know, from my perspective, which is that like there is a right and wrong, you know, there are things that we should do and things that we shouldn't do, which is clearly abandoned entirely on the surface. So I liked kind of seeing that struggle with her, and that she kind of always chose the like, I'm just gonna fucking do the right thing, even though you tried to sell me into a harvest or into an organ harvesting fucking program, asshole. I liked it overall. I liked that struggle, and I liked the choices that she made, and that's kind of what endeared me, I think, to Lucy's character.
I would somewhat agree, but let me read my synopsis of the next episode.
Fair enough.
Maximus finally reveals to Esquire that Knight Thaddeus died. His specials are apparently not in charisma, and then and Esquire takes this news poorly. He manages to somehow lose a fist fight with an unarmored man. Left for dead in his armor, Lucy happens upon Maximus. The script remembers that she drank a whole bunch of radioactive water last episode, but not that she had enough compassion to help a person who might have tried to kill her and definitely cut off one of her fingers. But it takes some convincing for her to help Maximus. The two go to Shady Sands. Fallout fans will be disappointed with the destruction of the setting from Fallout 1. Anyway, they wander into a building, fall unconscious. Steinbeck would be proud.
Nice.
So here's my issue, is kind of like, so she gets sick because she drank the water out of the barrel in the last episode, right?
Right.
And we definitely remember that. And she says, like, everyone that I have met has tried to kill me.
Yes.
Or screw me over in some way. I don't remember the words. But it's fairly close to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. Everyone except for the person that she's talking to has done that. Because, as I recall, in episode 2, at some point, he is laying on the ground next to her, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's when she says, "You're a knight," right?
Yes.
And he's taking bullet after bullet in the back, shielding her from getting shot, right?
Right. Yeah.
I would call that helping, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
The person who stops a bullet from hitting me is in some way construed as helping me.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess I would give her a break in that, you know, her experience up to this point has been pretty negative, and he's like the only person that's been nice to her. But yeah, I see your point. I see your point for sure. But yeah, I think maybe she's experienced enough at least to be a little bit like, are you just angling to fuck me over later? Or, I don't know.
There's that. And you could also maybe argue that because she's not feeling well,
Sure.
that maybe that's affecting her judgment.
Yeah.
She's getting more paranoid about her own mortality.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But it seemed, at least up to that point, like, well, that was a weird decision.
Yeah.
Because you remembered, he says you're dying of radiation sickness. If you pass out, we'll both die.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
He's probably right.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably is.
And she's vomiting all sorts of tapioca pudding.
Yeah.
And it's gross.
Yeah.
I mean, the vomit. I think tapioca pudding's okay.
I think it's fair to give her a little bit of a leeway on this. I mean, right, she came from the vault, and now she's in this. It's a pretty dramatic change of events and change of just experience that she can afford to be a little off, I think. A little hyper suspicious here and there, at least at this juncture.
Yeah, I mean, at this point the series still had me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I'm still in it. Yeah.
It hadn't gone off the rails. I was just like, man, that is a weird thing to bring up right now.
Yeah.
With the only person who's been nice to you.
That's true.
At all.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
She says, like, are you the person who helped me? And you're like, he looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
How many nights have you run into?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And then she pops. Here's the thing. He popped his helmet in the first or the second episode,
he
right?
He did, yeah. He did. So she saw his face.
She saw his face.
Yeah.
And she helps open up the helmet, which I would imagine is not that easy or intuitive, because you wouldn't want people to be able to just do it.
Yeah.
And she sees his face again, and it's like, well, how do I know? You're like,
yeah.
Anyway.
I get that. I'd give her a break, though. I mean, because really everybody else has been kind of a piece of shit to her. And so, yeah, I think, like, I've seen, you seem like a good guy, and everything is telling me that you're probably a good guy. But, my judgment has been pretty fucking shitty on that score up to this point. So I kind of get her being a little reticent on that.
Yeah, I mean, in watching it, I did the same, but I didn't get anything else out of this episode. So anyway, we wake up into episode 6, The Trap. Marcus, and Lucy. Their couple name is Lucas. They're okay, or are they? There are some people here who are nice in a vault. Yes. But they're very strange. Mutated, in fact. They look like Chris Parnell, and some of them have even more abnormal features. This doesn't bother our Brotherhood of Steel character, strangely, because the makers of this game the makers of this TV show have not played the games. But Lucy thinks it's odd. They tell her not to go to level 12, so of course that's where she goes, and of course the elevator just takes her there.
Yeah.
She beats up some cops, and oh god, she's going to get executed or not. She's exiled to the surface, but not before Maximus gets his ass off of the couch and starts beating people up for no reason. This might be the episode where the other Squire guy gets some medicine for his severely broken foot.
Oh, yes.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I felt like this episode was weird for the purpose of being weird.
Yeah. I don't. I guess. God, how to think of this, because it's not really very well explained as far as I know. But this is clearly another vault. And
this is Vault 4.
And so this vault's sort of MO seems to be to take in, survivors from the surface, and that's why they have all these fucking mutants and stuff, right? Like that's their raison d'etre, I guess. That's why they're there. Like that's just part of their fucking duty, is that they take in stragglers from the wastelands, and then try to incorporate them, I guess, into their society, which is interesting and cool. I didn't quite understand the because they had like that weird ritual, right?
So the ritual doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't get it either.
I can explain a little bit about what Vault 4 has going on.
Okay.
Because I think what you might have overlooked is earlier we got a scene with Coop, who was kind of looking over some like footage, or I think they might have been filming at the time, two scientists who were about to go into a vault.
Okay.
And they were talking about how the vault would be run by scientists.
Yes.
And it was going to be kind of an experiment about how a society run by scientists could
yes.
help improve whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So like, I don't think they said it, but they were wearing Vault 4 uniforms.
Okay.
So I think the idea is, and you later see, I think right before the ritual, they kind of show off that footage before the scientist is killed. It's the same scientist who was in the commercial.
Yeah. Okay,
so
yeah.
Something like... So, obviously, they had kind of gotten, like, deep into Dr. Fauci territory and just started doing whatever the world-rending fuck they wanted. And, like, I think that was kind of what they were going for. So... I mean, that brings into question some of the timeline, but it does explain why, like, these people who had been experimented on and purposely mutated might take a little bit more of a forgiving understanding of people who are from the surface who are similarly mutated.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
But I can't explain why in the world they would know who what's her face was.
Moldaver, right? Yeah.
Moldaver,
and why they have like this weird sort of cult around her, where they sort of worship her. It's a weird ritual that they engage in.
As I'm thinking about this, I think some of them were intended to be, and I don't know if it explained this at the time or if it was kind of implied later, that a lot of the people who were there were survivors of Sandy Hills.
Yeah, yes, I think that is, yes. I think that is kind of implicit, I guess, yeah.
So, as we learn later in the show, Moldaver was a leader of the MCR, and particularly Sandy Hills.
Right.
So... Or NCR, New California
yes,
Republic.
Yeah.
I don't know if I said M. I'm a little drunk. Anyway.
Me too.
So, like, I think the idea is that she was supposed to be one of the leaders, and maybe by virtue of her survival, maybe her known survival, that they would have given her some sort of godlike status. She was already a leader there, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It didn't make a lot of sense, though.
No.
Smearing your face with the ashes of the dead and drinking blood.
I don't know what that's about. Yeah. Yeah.
Where are they getting the blood?
I don't know.
I don't know, Midget Radio. Every time I've been to a party and people have been drinking blood, it's been a bad time.
Right, yeah. I mean, every single time. Yeah.
But this whole episode is just a bait and switch, because you show up and everybody's super nice and friendly, and you zoom out and it says like test specimens or something.
Right.
Test subjects, whatever. And then like everybody's super nice and he's like starting to get into it, and she's like, I don't know, I'm allowed to go to all the levels on my vault, which appears to be 1.
Yeah.
And then he's eating the caviar, and they go down into she goes down into the basement into level 12, and there's science experiments going on there, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And then they take her to the execution thing, and Chris Parnell, who looks slightly more normal with just one eye, is gonna decapitate her, but no, he's gonna try to saw the leather straps off of her wrists.
Yeah.
So that they can banish her to the surface with 2 weeks worth of supplies.
Yep, that's the worst punishment that they have. Yeah. Yeah.
This whole episode is just to fuck with you.
Yeah, see, yeah, this is more of the like where the sort of satire kind of rears its head, I think. This society that's descended into kind of like nice guy bureaucracy, where it's like, okay, we have this stuff going up on level 12. We can't tell you what it is because it's so fucking super secret, but really what it is, we're trying to find a way for humans to be able to survive in a severely irradiated environment. I mean, that was the goal. It seemed like for which is a reasonable enough goal. But it turns some of these people into fucking ravenous, kill crazy mutants. Too bad. And so and so we don't go there. We just don't like. I feel like when we get to the last episode, this will be more apparent. But a lot of this is the satirical stuff about a kind of about just what if a fucking bureaucracy took over the fucking world, essentially. Where you do have these like things that you do have these things that just don't make fucking sense together because it's just because it was designed by a committee that sent it up to another committee that had to confer with a different committee, and so you would get to this situation where it's like, well, I know that level 12 is bad, so don't go to level 12. But that's all that I know. And then I know that if you violate that, well, then we have to exile you. It becomes kind of like it's sort of like dehumanizing, and it becomes kind of just wildly irrational because it's so layered in bureaucracy, which I feel like is the theme of this entire season. Is about like it is just kind of a bureaucracy sort of taking over the entire world, because you have, I mean, in all of the flashbacks that we've had with Cooper, we have that one guy, right, who's like the fucking key to a thriving society is management, which I think is hilarious. But like, but that
Bud. His name is Bud because it's Bud Spuds.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. So I think that's where, like, I don't know. I feel like anyway, that's kind of where a lot of this is sort of coming from. That it feels so alien and it feels so irrational because it is derived from and set in stone by a bureaucracy, essentially.
Oh man, I don't even know what to say. And in a certain way, what you say is attractive in the sense that you're like, yeah, I mean, if it all becomes ritual. The thing is, so I guess you'd have to like look back and kind of make your own headcanon, because the series doesn't explain really what in the world's supposed to be happening.
Right.
But that original test that they were doing was 4 years. So
Right.
you assume that they went into the vault between a day and between 4 years minus a day before the bomb
Right.
fell, right?
Yeah.
So you assume that at some point, probably during that time or shortly thereafter, is when the mutants rebelled against the or the scientists.
Right. Yeah.
Those people had lived under other regimes. They had the ability to
Yeah.
create
Yeah.
other bureaucracy
Yeah.
if they wanted. So, I mean, yes and no. Yes, the less you think about it. No, probably the more you rationalize it.
Yeah. Sure. Fair enough. Yeah.
That's where I fall.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else in this episode.
All right.
Do you want it? I'm not going to cut you off.
No, please, no, please move on, move forward.
Episode 7, the radio. Two things happen in this episode. They are Lucy and Maximus catch up to Squire Guy, who
Yes.
apparently is turning into a ghoul,
Yeah.
or is a ghoul. He gives the head to Maximus to give to the Brotherhood, and Maximus immediately gives it to Lucy to get her dad back. Also, we learned that Moldaver invented some sort of cold fusion device 200 years ago.
Yeah.
And she's a communist. Lucy's brother also sneaks into Vault 31, so we can get a cliffhanger for the next show.
Right.
That is to be released next week, or wait, right now.
Yeah.
Because this
Go
is
ahead.
released all together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a little disappointed that the person who had to booby trap his whole radio station listens to music that I would listen to.
It was like a interesting interlude, I guess. I kept wondering, like, so if you get close enough to the radio host that you can talk to him, like, it's all good, you know? I mean, Jesus. Like, I like that he has traps and barricades set against critics, but I guess, like, once you get close enough to him, well, then it's okay. I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic there.
But that guy doesn't like that music.
I know, yeah, he clearly doesn't. He's just bullshitting, but I don't know.
He's doing his very best to be like, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
people these days, they don't know
Right,
anything
the way
about...
this was recorded was fucking brilliant, and yeah.
Oh, yeah, the mid-range?
The mid-range, yep. You wanna get that mid-range, yep. Yeah, whatever. I mean, the very idea that there is somebody broadcasting music and murders dissenters as they approach is great in itself. I mean, that's wonderful. But
Is it?
I think so. Yeah. I'm playing
I
this
mean,
fucking
it's
music.
been
You have a
in-
problem with it, then
It's been in, like, all of the Fallouts, right?
yes, yeah, yes,
There's always the radio.
yes, yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. But rarely explored, you know, who's operating the station and, you know, rarely explored.
So they show up. He unloads a whole. Hard to really say how that firearm works because it both has a magazine and a cylinder, which is not to say mutually exclusive, but it sure does make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Anyway, that happens. He gives the head to Lucy, and Lucy decides to go off to the thing.
Right.
There's really no point talking about this episode.
Not really.
Nothing happens. The Brotherhood tries to show up, but they don't.
Yeah.
Episode 8, the beginning. Because it's funny that the first episode is called The End.
Clever. Yeah.
God, that's hilarious. I think I might laugh myself to death. So all the loose ends get tied up pretty quick and questionably effectively.
Yes.
We learn that Cooper's wife proposed that Vault-Tec should drop the bombs to ensure their company wins capitalism.
Yep.
We learn that Vault 31 has frozen corporate leadership of Vault-Tec that are defrosted and sent to help run vaults every so many years.
Yes.
Lucy confronts Moldaver, who tells Lucy about her father's true past, and of course, Lucy believes her, because why not?
Right.
The Brotherhood attacked Moldaver's compound.
Right.
But it's too late. She starts up the cold fusion device that turns on the lights connected to a power grid that has seen no maintenance in 200 years.
Right.
Hank puts on a suit of power armor, briefly considers giving a Bond villain speech, and then tries to escape the plot by running off screen.
Yep.
He's largely successful. Just one last bit of business to wrap up when Cooper confronts Lucy. She draws a gun and then finishes the job finally by shooting her mother in the head.
Yeah. Yeah.
New Vegas member berries credits.
I feel like there's a lot to address in this episode, but yes. Yeah.
Where would you like to begin?
God damn it, dude. This is where so back to the this is where the satire kind of starts to get in the way of the show, I think.
In the way is polite,
yeah.
sir.
All right, so I guess let's start with Cooper's wife. So their marriage is extraordinarily healthy. Throughout the entire series, through all the flashbacks that we've seen, his wife is wonderful. Their relationship is excellent. Like, the marriage is healthy.
He is very respectful to her as well.
Exactly. Like, the marriage is healthy. The family is healthy. All of that stuff is really great.
Good give and take.
Right, exactly.
And they have a child, and she speaks fondly of the child. They have a child.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything looks fucking great. And then Cooper has to find out via, spying on his wife that she she's ready to drop an atomic bomb and start a fucking nuclear war because what? Because she's so scared that it's gonna happen anyway. We may as well fucking control it and go into the vaults. Like, I don't know, but like, that's the thing where it's like, okay, you've been married to her for how long? You guys have a healthy...
It's way worse than this. It's way worse than this, Midget Radio. I don't think you understood what was happening in that last episode.
Okay.
So, what we've learned in the episode before this is that Vault-Tec apparently owns half of everything.
Right.
Which is probably hyperbole.
Yes. Yeah.
But it at least hints that they're pretty well diversified, right?
Yeah.
They're going to nuke the world so that they can own everything at the end of time. Which is, I mean, to a certain degree, the fact that this is being pushed on Amazon is wildly laughable.
Yeah.
Right? One of the most immoral and capitalistic companies
ferociously
in all the world
capitalistic. Yes, yeah.
Is giving us this horse shit about how to win capitalism by nuking. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the idea is that they have all these people together from like the robot people and the I don't remember all the other. One's RobTech, one's
I don't remember. Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 maybe. Yeah.
And so they're talking about how like, well, peace is bad for all of our stocks.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not going to make any money.
And so it's not even like I'm afraid that this is going to go badly for us. It's like I'm afraid that our market share might drop if people are not willing to do war anymore.
Yes. This is the satire part.
So what we need to do...
Yeah.
So what we need to do is start the war to ensure continued profitability. And
Right.
that doesn't make any sense because everyone's gonna be dead.
Exactly, and that is, yes, exactly right, and that is my point. Like, that is where the satire goes completely fucking off the rails. That, like, this
This is
capitalistic
also
impulse has gone so insane that it is completely forgotten why it existed in the first place. Like, that it's just, we're so profit hungry that we're just gonna go in that direction without fucking realizing that leads to no government, and profit is fucking meaningless at that point. Like,
well, I mean, here's the thing: would you rather have 10% of $1 billion, or
Right.
would you rather have 100% of $5?
yeah,
Like that's what we're talking about.
yeah,
And I think this is interesting because I think you and I come from significantly different sides of looking at economic systems that maybe there's something to mine down on here. But what they're fundamentally saying is that the vaults exist to outlast the competition.
Yes.
And that will put an end to factions
yes,
and to war.
yeah,
So you gather together a group of competing companies, which you might call business factions.
Yeah.
And they come together to hatch some scheme wherein different vaults will do different things.
right,
Which would also seem to create factions. And then the first two competing ideas for these experiments that they do within the vaults are a forced scarcity vault where
Yes.
we overpopulate the vault with not enough stuff to do and see
Yeah.
like how awesome people become.
Yeah.
And then the next one is that we take illegal aliens and turn them into super mutant soldiers so
Yes.
that they can fight a war against nobody.
yeah,
And like this is we've already talked about a couple of things that don't make a whole hell of a lot of sense in
Yeah.
this thing. But it felt to me when I was watching this, particularly with like when they talk about Moldaver, she's a communist, whatever, she
Right,
invented the
sure.
greatest thing in the world.
yeah,
And then we get to this just like turning it up to 11 isn't enough. This is like
yeah,
turning it up to 69
yeah,
in terms of communist bullshit. And it's just like, well, I know the communists are the good guys, so like it can be as absurd as possible. You're like, no, Jeff Bezos is not going to nuke the planet on the idea that afterwards Amazon will become the world government of nothing.
Well, I think,
Like,
I think
he's plenty evil on his own. He's not going to do that.
I think the idea that they were trying to get to, and the problem with this is that it is an idea that the writers are trying to get to, that they're trying to basically have fun with, and it creates a conflict, it creates an issue with being able to take any of these characters seriously. But like, I think in that episode, I mean, we see them talking about like different ways to sort of develop and control a society. And so their idea is that like, well, everybody can implement their own ideas essentially as to the best way to like create a society, to create a functioning human civilization.
But that creates factions.
It absolutely, it does create factions. And the one that survives is the one that's going to be deemed the best. And I think that's
But that's not going to end war.
Exactly.
What she says is
exactly. And I think we see that with the reveal about Kyle MacLachlan, right? Like, so he finds out that his wife goes to the New California Republic. This is the other psychotic fucking reveal that like he finds out his wife goes to the NCR with his children. He gets his children back, and then he nukes the fucking NCR, right? Because he doesn't want them to win. Because he wants his managed fucking vault society to be the ones that inherit the earth. That's the sort of psychotic capitalistic thing that I think motivation that I think the writers are trying to satirize. Now, what's ridiculous about where this becomes a problem, at least for me, is that one, Walton Goggins finds out that his wife is a bloodthirsty fucking murderer, is like a genocidal maniac practically, because she's ready to nuke the whole fucking world to save her family. That's insane. That's a ridiculous goddamn...
That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
It's a ridiculous goddamn reveal of her character that he apparently had no idea of, even though he was married to her and they were all healthy. All right, so fine. So you have that. And then in this same episode, you have Lucy find out that her father, too, is a bloodthirsty fucking maniac ready to bomb the shit out of entire civilizations of people because he wants to win some whatever fucking award, like some, well, I did the best management, award. Like, that's the kind of stuff where the satire to me gets completely in the way of the characters, where it just becomes completely unrealistic that two people would find out that the people that they love the most are homicidal, psychotic maniacs.
Can I offer
yes.
really a rejoinder, but like kind of a question? Okay, it's a thought. Let's put it that way. It's at least a thought. The opening of this series is Moldaver and her people going into Vault 33.
Yes.
They, I don't know if you want to call it grape. I don't think you're allowed to say that without a G on YouTube, but they certainly sexually assault her.
Yes.
Right? Then she gets stabbed.
Yes.
At this point, what we have is she shows up and Moldaver tells her some fanciful nonsense about her father being 200 years old.
Right. Which
I would submit to you, sir, is hard to believe on its face.
Sure. I mean, he looked good. Yeah, Kyle MacLachlan looked
and
good. So.
now to be fair, I was really dismayed by this scene because Kyle MacLachlan apparently agreed to do this without reading the script because he was totally checked out in this episode.
Right.
Right? He's like, oh, no, it's not true. Don't listen to her. Don't listen to her.
It is
Lucy,
kind of...
don't listen to her.
The writing here was pretty fucking weak, but yeah. Yes.
And the directing was terrible.
But I mean, this is all part of the fucking... This is all part of the fucking... The satire... We have to have it
this
essentially...
This is part of the game? I was supposed to be enjoying this?
Well, this is like, it's supposed to be basically unquestionable that, like, he nuked the NCR, that he dropped that fucking bomb. Like, we're clearly not supposed to have any questions about that whatsoever. Even though it seems like it would be pretty
so
easy to deny.
But yeah. I failed as a viewer. Let's move past that.
Okay.
So, the idea... So, here's my problem. As far as writing goes, Lucy has no reason to believe this. What she does know is that she was tricked into having sex with a brutal murderer.
Yes.
And what she knows is that those brutal murderers killed several of her friends, probably family, because honestly, she's probably related to most of those people.
Yeah.
Then kidnapped her father.
Yep.
And she's traveled across the whole universe, effectively, to try to get him back.
Yep.
We know because we've been following Norm this story. Yeah. We know to believe her in that small sense that her motivation makes any amount of sense and that she's not some bloodthirsty maniac, which she is. Yeah. She doesn't know what Norm knows. We know what Norm knows. She doesn't.
Right.
Her believing the person who got her graped and then killed her
Yes.
friends
Yes.
doesn't make any fucking sense.
You're right. Yeah, I am 100% on board with you with that. And yes, you're totally fucking right. The way that Moldaver was handled in that last episode was fucking infuriating. In the sense that, like, you know that she had what appeared to be, right, like a bunch of fucking reavers, like a bunch of raiders who were in this vault who murdered a shitload of completely fucking innocent vault dwellers to get up to, apparently with the sole purpose of getting to Kyle MacLachlan, right? Like, I totally agree with you. Moldaver is a bloodthirsty maniac, and the fact that that was apparently
Can I agree with you but interrupt you shortly?
Yes, please, go ahead.
In the first episode, it seems very much like his abduction is an accident.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's either her or him.
Right, sure.
If you really wanted him, it wouldn't be a choice.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense from a writing point of view.
It
and
doesn't.
what they're counting on is that the people who like this are dumb enough to have forgotten that was what happened.
Yeah, I feel like the last episode treats the viewer as though they've completely forgotten everything that Moldaver did in
This is
the
Star
first
Trek
episode.
Discovery writing.
It is. I absolutely agree with you on this, and this is where the fucking satire gets in the goddamn way. Like, this is to me an aspect of that. Because we want to call out that Kyle MacLachlan is a fucking bureaucrat. He's a managerial fucking bureaucrat who is so desperate, who wants his faction to win so badly that he's willing to drop a fucking nuke on the NCR, you know, in order to make that fucking point. It's completely ridiculous and totally absurd, which is fine and certainly makes sense in a satirical sense, but the fact that, like, Moldaver kind of gets off scot-free in the last episode is infuriating. Like, it is absolutely infuriating that I don't even understand her plan. Like, did they got into Vault, like, what, 32 at some point in time? And Vault 32 was in such disrepair, like the crops were so fucked up that it had been such a shit show for so long.
Well, not even that. I mean, Vault 32 doesn't make any sense because what appears to have happened is that they wrote on the wall something like, "We know the truth."
Yeah,
like,
what the fuck? Yeah. Yeah.
And like, so what they're kind of implying through Norm figuring this out is that they figured out that, like, this was all some sort of vault tech, thing.
Yeah.
And that there were last people on Earth. You're like, okay, let's put it this way. It makes sense to kill the Overseer, maybe. They're from Vault 31, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And you might not even need to do that. But let's just say that that's what you need to do. You need to hang Mussolini. You need to move on.
Right.
Like, does that mean that you have to kill everyone else who wasn't involved in the plot? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't understand. Like, Moldaver murdered a ton, was responsible for the murder and the sexual assault of a ton of completely innocent people, and she just gets to die kind of nobly?
No, she's the good guy. She's the good guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that was fucking infuriating to me. It didn't make a goddamn bit of sense. Like, So here's where I come down on that. Like, I don't know if that's just shitty writing or if that's kind of intentional. Like, because Fallout is very much hey, the guy that you thought was good is actually a piece of shit. Like, that's a recurring fucking theme. I think it's frustrating to me in the sense that the last episode doesn't seem to acknowledge that Moldaver is a shitty fucking human being. Whereas it does make wildly apparent that Kyle MacLachlan is a shitty human being, that everybody else is a fucking shitty human being. Like, so I don't know. I don't really know what to make of it, except that it is. I was frustrated that she died without somebody at least realizing that, like, holy fuck, she's kind of responsible for a lot of totally unnecessary murder and rape. Just right. I mean, like,
it doesn't make sense in the context of what they're trying to foist upon you. And this is the thing that I had a problem with, because it kind of felt like, okay, so, you know, Cooper shows up at the bar. He talks to his Indian friend whose name is Indian Face.
Indian man.
I'm not even.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had a wildly stereotypical name.
Yes.
Anyway, the point is, he talks to him, and then, like, he goes to this communist meeting, and he says, this is full of bullshit. He rejects this person, and then she hands him a device. He ends up using this device against his wife, who presumably, and for all intents and purposes, appears to love.
Yes.
And have a really positive relationship.
A really good relationship. Yeah. Yeah. It's totally healthy. Yeah.
Finds out that she's willing to sacrifice
the entire planet,
99% of humanity.
Yes.
So that she can win capitalism.
Yes.
And
right, this is you're right. You're right on the money.
This is
the satire shit. Like,
but it feels like, and like, maybe the problem is, I'm watching this on Netflix, and when they start going into the communism good thing, I'm like, the fuck is happening here? I'm watching Jeff Bezos, who's expected to burn through the whole American workforce in terms of mistreating his delivery drivers,
his factory workers,
his workers, etc.
Right.
And like, within the next 5 years, and you're just like, this is such a shitty company, and I'm supposed to believe this from this source. Yeah. And also, like, you get to the end of this, and they're like communicator levels of completely oblivious to what is going on. That you're just like,
way to work in Star Trek.
Intentional. Yeah. This is the second time. But it's like, it's completely oblivious. Like, everyone who's watching this looks at Moldaver. She is a monster.
She is a monster. She's absolutely a monster. She's a monster. Kyle MacLachlan's a monster. Like, all of the, like, but I totally understand what you're saying. And and the frustrating part is that the show seems to understand that Kyle MacLachlan is a monster. It does not seem to clearly understand that Moldaver is a fucking monster. I get that.
Somebody called to Paul to the bridge. We need to pat ourselves on the fucking back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I totally get that. And that is enormously fucking because and not even just everything that you just fucking said, but like, why the fuck is Lucy's mom still alive as a goddamn ghoul? What the fuck?
If you loved, like, they imply some sort of like deep spiritual bond between those people.
Yes,
you're like,
they do.
Wait, was episode 1? Okay, so you're allowed to go in and you're allowed to grape my best friend's daughter, but please try not to stab her too mortally with a knife.
Right.
What?
Not too mortally. Yeah.
Not too mortally. You can stab her, but just like, don't hit any of the vital parts.
Just half mortally.
That is so stupid. That is so stupid.
I agree. And this is exactly what I was getting at with the satire just getting in the way of the fucking of the fucking plot. And so I don't know. I mean,
it's not even satire at this point, Midgerato. This is just incompetence. This is just the people who made this were idiots.
I get it. As much as we are shitting on this, I am still looking forward to season 2. There is a sick, maybe Lucy-like inspiration or idealism that I feel that season 2 will be like, oh yeah, Moldaver is a fucking piece of shit monster as well. Like that
I don't think they're gonna. I don't. So this is the kind of linear writing, like that they forgot. Like the sexual assault happened in the first episode.
The sexual
they
assault.
forgot
Yes, yeah. The brutal,
all of the crap that happened along this. Do you actually think they're going to go back and be like, we're going to have a really strong introspective moment about how Moldaver is a piece of shit?
Yeah,
no,
you fucker.
They're not going to
yes,
do
I
that.
do fucking believe that that's possible.
The best thing that can happen is that Walton Goggins finds a phone book and starts reading it.
This is that's excellent. Yeah, I mean, yes, fuck you. I fucking hope that that the show is smart enough, that the writers are smart enough to address that in what will inevitably be season 2 of this show. And if I'm wrong, I'm fucking wrong. I don't care. I'm still gonna fucking believe in it.
Do you want to bet a beer on it?
No, I don't. No, my faith is not that strong, but
it's not, $5 or $10.
No,
whatever.
it's not. It's not. You can buy my faith out for $5 or $10, but yeah, just
that's amazing.
But no, I get what you're saying, and yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty fair. It's hard to believe that they will God damn it, dude. Like, I mean, yeah, episode 1, episode 2, like, it is hard to get past how fucking brutal. Like, and even throughout the rest of the season, right? Because they were like, what do we do with the fucking prisoners? Like, the Vault Dwellers were like, how do we address the issue of these ravenous fucking raiders that we have that are absolutely devoid of any kind of fucking morality whatsoever? Why are we even keeping them alive? Like, so that was part. I really enjoyed that anybody was questioning that in the first place, right? Because it's a good question to ask. Like, if you have a bunch of rabid animals, why the fuck are you keeping them alive?
I think that you're right in that, but the weird thing is, those people who cannot contain themselves at all, at all. They're portrayed as monsters,
right?
For
Despite
weeks
the Jell-O
or
cake.
months on end.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you really think that they're gonna stand in for Vault Dwellers?
Yeah.
Now let's try to imagine that you get past the point that, like, these vaults exchange people every couple of years.
Right.
I think they said every 2 or 3.
Right.
And they have a party like this every 2 or 3 years where they get together and wed 2 people. Just boom. There you go.
Yeah.
Is everybody, like, weirdly not curious why no one recognizes any other person? Like, is anyone, like, is Hank. So we have, he's looking at Lee Moldaver, who introduces herself as Lee Moldaver.
Right.
The person with the exact same name and exact same appearance.
Right.
And his company bought her company.
Right. She had a big fucking problem. RE, the cold fusion and stuff, and he doesn't. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And
he doesn't
like,
recognize
we're supposed
her.
to believe. We're supposed to believe that he's just like, oh, Lee Mulder. Oh, huh.
What a coincidence! That's a coinkadink. Like, yeah.
Wow, what a weird thing to happen. You look exactly like the other Lee Moldaver that I knew 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Even though I just got defrosted, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And like.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But like, you're supposed to believe that.
Yeah.
And like, no one recognizes anyone else from the other vault.
Yep.
They sit there and they have a cordial, wonderful etiquette laden wedding ceremony, nothing weird.
Right.
Until he starts drinking out of the sink. Are you fucking kidding me? These people are animals.
I get it, man. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, You're right.
This
Plot
TV
holes
series
grow. Yeah.
makes no sense
Yeah.
the more you think about it.
It does. It really does start to fall apart. The more you think about it, and then I feel like that's what makes it hard to critique at the same time, because it is satirical. Like you just get the like, well, it's satire, bro. Like it's just a satire about like rampant fucking capitalism or whatever. Like that's just why. And it's like, well, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I mean it's effective.
Satire
in pieces.
isn't universally good.
It's not. It is not. And when you have to rely on it to explain massive inconveniences and holes in the plot, then I think it is generally bad. But again, like I gave this show fucking 4 stars, and the reason I gave it 4 stars is because I like Kyle MacLachlan. I like fucking Walton Goggins, and I like the actress who plays Lucy, whatever the fuck her name is. I mean, I enjoy.
She's so good that we don't even know her name. We just know her.
Exactly. I enjoy.
Actually, is Lucy.
Like I enjoy the overall aesthetic and direction of the show. It's fun, and I recognize it as a show that is fun if you don't think about it too deeply. And I think that's a fair way to put it. Like it's fun, it's funny, it's entertaining if you don't think about it too deeply.
I think don't think about it at all would be a better.
Well, sure, yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we did a good job, Tactic Angel. I think this is a fucking pretty goddamn thorough undertaking of Fallout.
I think that we definitely did a 5-star job.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There are so many plot inconsistencies, so many weird things.
Yeah.
Like even to the Walton. Walton is not a real. Walter is a real name.
That's
Walton
true.
is not.
Walton is a fake name. Yeah.
Walton Goggins. So he starts here. This is a weird scene because, like, he starts talking, and all of the Brotherhood of Steel turn around to him at the end of, or towards the end of the last episode.
Yeah.
And they just listen to him talk about, well, we used to be able to kill people this way. And you're just like, guys, this isn't good.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess they never fixed that. You're like, he just lets him.
Yeah, it's
But,
ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah.
That is actually kind of the one. That was the one time that I didn't like watching Cooper speak, because it's just like, this is so over the top stupid.
Yeah.
That it's hard to hang up my suspension of disbelief.
Yes.
And it also makes me think of the second episode where he's putting shot after shot into that useless asshole Maximus.
Yeah.
And you're just like, why don't you just shoot him in the weak spot?
Yeah. I know, dude, and this is the satire part. Like this is It's so
just straight up turn your brain off stupid.
It is. It is so hard to fucking because the show this show essentially gets to decide when it wants to be a cartoon, you know? Which is unfortunate because I like Lucy as a person. I like Walton Goggins as a person. And for the show to like flip on the cartoon switch kind of whenever the fuck it feels like, it does make it hard to it does make it harder to relate to, which is frustrating. But that's an aspect of, I don't know if you've ever read Catch-22. I couldn't get through that fucking goddamn book, but it's exactly this. It's exactly the like, I get to be a satire now. So forget about the fact that these are people. I just get to be a joke right now. I just get to tell the joke right now, and it's just. Yeah, it does. It rips you out of it, and I find I mean personally I find that fucking frustrating.
This is why I kept saying this is so fucking dumb.
Yeah, I get it. I get that.
In the last episode,
it is. All of the reveals were stupid. Like they were They were clearly jokey, but they were fucking stupid and frustrating. And it's like, man, is this character that I kind of love just a complete fucking idiot? Like it's the plot. It's the plot getting in the way of the fucking characters. Which is a hallmark, I think, of a lot of overtly satirical stuff. Which I don't like. But, you know, I guess, you know, some people respond to. I don't know. I think Catch-22 is a shitty book, and I think Fallout suffers from some of the same weaknesses in general. But at the same time, I'll stand by my 4-star review. I still like everybody well enough. I like the performances well enough. I was invested in the Lucy and Maximus relationship. I would like to see that work out. I like that. Despite all of the fucking plot inconveniences. When the writers decide to show up and rear their little heads with their...
Well, I mean, at a certain point, if this just becomes the three of them randomly bumping into each other, it's already a little bit absurd.
It is, yeah.
And I think that sense is already, that's only going to increase.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get why Lucy would look at him as the one halfway decent person. He's a piece of shit.
He is. He really is.
Halfway. Man, so they take him back in episode 7 to the Brotherhood of Steel.
Right.
And it's just like, I'm going to stand up to whatever, et cetera, et cetera. This is the wrong head. And then he's immediately like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Please don't kill me.
He's
I lied to you,
a fucking coward. Yes. He is a straight up coward. He has no ideological center at all. Yeah. Yes. I absolutely fucking he does whatever, he does seem to engage in and devolve into whatever is fucking convenient at the moment. Whether it's I'm supposed to be I'm noble and I believe in the knighthood, while I'm a squire, and then as soon as I get to have some fucking microwave popcorn, I'm all about that microwave popcorn. That's and all caviar. There is, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say, in his defense, he was willing to sacrifice the microwave popcorn for Lucy's well-being. You could potentially make that argument.
Sure. I don't think that it would be hard to make that argument.
Sure. So in that sense, maybe he's a fucking person. But yeah, I mean, he is kind of largely a piece of shit. And there's a part of me that finds that kind of endearing. There is a part of me that's like, all I've ever known is hardship. My entire family died, and I had to fucking live in a refrigerator until a metal man showed up and rescued me. And so now I'm all about trying to be a metal man because he had such a significant impact on my life. But now that I've had microwave popcorn, well, fuck the metal man. I really like this popcorn. I kind of his character arc is, I can appreciate it a little bit. So I do find Marcus or Maximus kind of endearing a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, season 1, I appreciate, as much as we've talked about it so far, season 1 has left a lot for us to talk about, I think, which is, in some respects, I think the hallmark of a pretty good show. I think that it's left a lot to be discussed. It's left a lot of differing and I don't know, conflict, whatever. It's left a lot of different interpretations.
Yeah, I mean, Taco Bell's great food because it leaves me a lot of time in the bathroom.
Sure.
That's great.
That's a hallmark, I think, of if I eat Taco Bell and I don't have all those issues in the bathroom, which I have even more than you do. I mean, that's at least the hallmark of a show that's like at least up to interpretation. It's at least left up to kind of the viewer a little bit. This is season 1. We'll fucking see what season 2 has to offer. As much as I feel like the writers did kind of rear their heads in season 1, it wasn't so offensive to me that I'm not totally disinterested in season 2. I'll say.
I mean, I will say, to be at least a little bit fair, I watched, I think, 3 or 4 episodes of Rings of Power before I was just so checked out
of season 1
and so disgusted.
I can't remember if I watched all of that.
I think the number is less than a third of people who started Rings of Power finished it. I don't know exactly where the number was.
I don't think I finished it. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I didn't finish it.
I mean, it was abysmal.
Yeah,
the people
compared
who,
to the books,
the
fucking hell yeah.
The people who made that should be shot into the sun.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, it was objectively one of the worst adaptations that probably mankind has ever seen.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is why they turned off the ability to write comments. In any case, I don't think it was that bad. I mostly enjoyed this. It was just in the last hour or two.
Yeah.
It just got phenomenally stupid.
Yes, it did. Yeah, I think that's fair.
I
think it's a fair assessment. Yeah.
I could see the hallmarks, and there's part of me that wonders, I was watching this, and then the next day I got up and I took a shower, and I was thinking, well, what if I really cared about the Fallout franchise, right? Would I be?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, okay, Fallout 3 was kind of shit. Fallout 4 was pretty bad. Fallout New Vegas was reasonably good.
Yeah.
If I had been in it from the very beginning,
yeah,
would I be as upset about this as I am at something like Star Trek Picard? Because
yeah.
I mean, I can see all the cracks, and I care about all the cracks in Star Trek Picard.
Yeah.
But when I see somebody glue a finger back on and then immediately try to, carve a person up into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah.
I can think, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I'm not really morally offended by it.
Right.
I'm not going to get upset about it because, I mean, Bethesda's been shitting on Fallout for years at this point.
Yeah.
And the franchise is already a fucking disaster.
Yes.
So who cares?
Of course it is. Yeah.
So, I wasn't in it that much. It's already a fucking mess. Who gives a shit? But if I did care, if I had really played Fallout 1 and really cared about the fate of, Sandy Shores or whatever.
Right, whatever.
Would I be offended by the idea that somebody who clearly didn't care about the source material blew it up?
Yeah.
Probably.
But
I don't. I'm not that person. So I can just sit there and say I like the music and I can watch Walton Goggins. So I think, read the phone book and be happy.
Yeah, I think that's a fair perspective, and I think for me, I mean the objections that I saw to this were largely with respect to Fallout New Vegas and whether this show violated some of the lore with respect to New Vegas. Now, I, as a rather devout fan of the X-Men franchise, I don't understand quite how to empathize with this concern, because any franchise that gets adapted into another medium, right, into film or into a TV show or into a movie or whatever, The concern is always like, for me at least, is the movie any fucking good? Is the TV show any fucking good? Despite whatever violations of prior lore there have been. I think this show is not bad because it violates previously established lore. I don't think. In the same sense that like most X-Men stuff is not bad because it's not one-to-one with the comic book history.
No, my critique is more or less that I think that I gave it 2 stars because it didn't offend me as badly as if I cared.
Sure, yeah, sure.
But like there are plenty of internal consistencies.
Yes.
Or internal inconsistencies.
Yes.
Because like I just said I like Fallout New Vegas, and we already saw Mr. House is a fucking idiot in this in this movie or this TV show, right?
Right.
He's just another one of the mustache twirling assholes.
Exactly. Who cares?
Who can't see past his own nose.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, sure. But yeah.
I mean, at the same time, it's still Fallout's been getting shit on ever since Bethesda bought it.
Yeah.
But like I want to say my 2 stars is from a dispassionate but happy to play the game perspective. I played all of those games. I even played the Fallout Shelter game.
Yes, me too. Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout Shelter, 3, 4, fuck 76.
New Vegas.
Yeah, New Vegas, and fuck 76, yeah.
Not 76, fuck that.
No, I didn't do that either.
An RPG without NPCs?
I know, what the
Sign me up.
What are you trying to tell me? What do you want me to do here? Yeah. I agree.
Then they banned people who were mean to each other, and you're like, everyone in Fallout's mean to each other.
It's on the internet, of course. It's everyone's mean to each other. Yeah.
That was dumb as shit. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree. What the fuck? You're 2 stars and I'm 4 stars, and I feel like we agree.
I don't understand. I think that it's a lot easier to get your stars. Midget Radio, easy.
Yeah, I mean, I was entertained. I liked it. It was a good time. I wasn't super offended by anything. I mean, I was irritated by things, but like, overall, like, it was funny. It was enjoyable, and I like it. Man, it is always the characters to me. I like Lucy. I like Cooper. I'm interested to see where Kyle MacLachlan is going. That's all it is to me.
Man, the Kyle MacLachlan thing is just infuriating to me. Because like I spent the whole time like really, really like, oh, I would like him to be in this thing because that would be interesting, and he's cool. Yeah. And then you get to the end and he's just like, he just does not care. He's I don't know, barely in this.
I mean, he has nothing to work with. Like you said, he has absolutely nothing to work with beyond Lucy, don't believe her, she's a fucking liar. It's like,
I think he was in this,
but
and they wrote a script around, well, if you do a season 2, you're gonna have to pay me 10 times as much.
Yeah. Worth it, by the way, but yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Amazon already gives you notoriously little for the amount of money they ask for.
I mean, and they own like 98% of the internet, but yeah.
But they would totally be willing to nuke the planet for the other 2%.
Yes,
anyway,
clearly.
But like, if he's gonna act like that, I just assume not see it. Yeah. And I mean, I'll enjoy Walter Goggins like wandering around with Lucy, I guess,
I love
for 8 episodes.
Call him Walter, but yeah.
Walter is a real name. It's Walt.
Yes.
I've been drinking. We've been talking.
I know his name's Walter. I'm not arguing with you. His name's Walter. Just
Walter. I'm gonna tag him on X. In any case, like the thing is, like, yeah, if they come out with it, I'll probably watch it because
Yeah.
I'll be at least reasonably entertained for a bit.
Yeah.
But then I just don't have any. So the fact that I got to the end of this means it's not as shit as
Right.
Rings of Power. Rings
Whoa,
of Power,
yeah, Jesus Christ, yeah, yes.
absolute dog vomit.
Yeah.
But this like kept me reasonably entertained. I could see the cracks
Yeah.
throughout the whole thing because you're like,
yeah, fair.
well,
yeah.
this doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
from the beginning to the end. But like, I don't care enough.
Yeah.
I don't care enough.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I don't buy Bethesda games anymore. After Fallout 76, I even canceled my Doom Eternal pre-order.
Was that
So, like-
prior to Fallout? Wow.
Fallout 76 came out before Doom Eternal.
Did it really?
And Fallout
Wow.
76, they shit so hard on people. that I
Yeah,
was like,
76 was garbage.
I don't even know that Doom Eternal will be a real game.
I played
And
Doom
I was-
Eternal. I mean, I like Doom Eternal, but it is way inferior to Doom. Yeah, way
2016
inferior.
or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
Doom. Well, yeah, I guess Doom 2016. Yeah, I guess that is the way to refer to it. Yeah.
I think I was reasonably happy to see the Mick Gordon thing turn around and to
Yeah.
realize that
Yeah.
that Microsoft had totally fucked him over.
Yep. That seems pretty
Um,
clear. Yeah.
And like,
Yeah, that dude's a solid goddamn guitarist. Yeah.
holy fuck, is that soundtrack good?
Yes,
Not
it is.
not that soundtrack, but like, the only thing they fear is you is
Yeah.
genre defined.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I think we're off the track.
I think we are too.
I think we agree. I think you should revise your 4 stars downward. I think I should revise my 2 stars downward.
I'm sticking with 4 because it was as long as I understand it is kind of a cartoon. I do feel like it is a 4-star show, and I want to see it continue, even for what it is, even despite the flaws, the plot holes, the thematic inconsistencies. I still like these like that's always what it is for me. I still like Walton Goggins. I still like Lucy as a character. I still enjoy all of that. So I do want to see it continue forward, and for that alone, 4 stars.
Okay, well, you're wrong. But that has been episode number 96 of the Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire official content. Please give us a like if you've enjoyed this video, or subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see whatever video we come out with next year. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you again on the mythical episode number 97 of the Wednesday Night Multimedia Empire, Wednesday Night Gentlemen all month. Just end it. It's over.
Yep. Bye.